What's happening, people? I've started it again. I've done it again. It started wrong for the third time in succession. How's everybody doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I hope you are all happy and healthy doing the things you love. This is your Friday nightcap. Tottenham, we're going to do these little Friday night things. I think 10:30, 11 o'clock, a little pop-up for an hour. I like it in this time of the evening. And guess what? There's no, even though the goblet, the FA Cup of vessels is still here. It's what... It's not been touched today. I'm on the tee, so we're not going to have any more disasters. I do need to update. I do need to get the rest of Jacob's predictions because he wanted to update. He wanted to change his feedback and stuff. Before we get into that, guys, let me just ask you some favors. Welcome everyone in the chat. I hope it's great to see you all. Please, can you all do me a massive favor? In the title of the page, you will see of the show. You'll see United Spurs of America, Jacob's channel. Make sure, please, guys, hit that link. It will take you off to another tab and smash that subscribe. Whilst you're at it, if you don't mind, I've had to set up another channel called Sean Butler TV. It's got no content on it right now. But in a nutshell, some bozo decided to, I don't know why. I don't know whether they were doing it out of love or support or out of hate and jealousy. I've got no idea what the purpose was, but someone's decided to pay some dodgy website for 500 subscribers to my channel. So I was sitting down watching the TV earlier, watching the Burnley game, and then I see my subscribers go from 14.2 to 14.7 in 5 minutes, which would be lovely if it was legit, but it's not legit. And unfortunately, when you do things like that, you end up, essentially putting your channel at risk, or people are putting your channel at risk if it's not you who's doing it. And that's the consequences right now. I don't know what someone's done, why someone's done it. Obviously, I can't stop it happening. I hope it doesn't happen again. But what I would love is I need you guys, just in case something was to happen to the channel, if something was to, to be damaged because of these sorts of things, then I don't want to have to lose contact with everyone. So I'm going to ask everyone on every show, just for the foreseeable, to just to hit that Sean Butler TV. Eventually, maybe if I think about it, I'll start doing things that are non-Tottenham on the channel, more football related or broader topics, maybe finance, whatever. I don't know, but just have it there just in case I get lost. That's all I wanted to ask you. Smash the like, smash the subscribe to this channel, to that channel, and to United Spurs of America. Jacob, welcome to the show, my man. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing great, my friend. I'm smiling through the pain, so to speak. I've talked to you off air about a little bit how I'm feeling. Kane it's strange seeing him on the other side of that glass landing in Germany. It's all foreign territory for me, but I'm feeling good. I guess my head is telling me that, you know what, this is the best for Tottenham. This is what we need to do. It's time to turn a new leaf, and I'm going to be a little sad for a couple days. I'm not going to lie, but you know what? I will push through because I see the bigger picture. But right now, I just got to fight through that pain of really seeing a club legend go. When I look at fans like Kuva and I look at other fans that have been, and there's 100 I can think of right now, but obviously their names are coming short to me right now. But when you've been a supporter of the club, you see you see club legends come and go as a fan. And for me, this is the first one I've experienced. So I always say I'm a hopeless romantic with Tottenham. I love Spurs. I love my club, and I've never known it without Harry Kane. So I'm a little bit upset about that, like he's leaving. But you know what? Anytime you have a breakup, it's like a slingshot, right? You get pulled back just to propel yourself forward. So trying to put the good juju out there, positive vibes, trying to stay immaculate,
Yeah, 100%, mate, 100%. What are your thoughts on the deal, though? Like, timing aside, obviously the timing could have been a little bit better. But is it like, are we right? Put aside the sentimentality. If you were a non-Tottenham fan and you were looking into the Goldfish Bowl, would you be saying it's good business? Daniel Levy's done, or the club have done the smart thing here?
From a business side, I would say, yeah, that seems about right if I was a rival. But I would also be cheering the fact that Harry Kane's no longer going to be facing my club 2 times a season. Let's be honest. I think most of those people who are going on social media saying, you have to take this opportunity. What clubs were they fans of? Because, I mean, think about it. If you're any supporter of any club, you're not going to want Harry Kane to play you twice. And of course, they're going to be excited about him leaving. Whatever the price tag was, I'm sure just getting him out of their face is something that they can celebrate. So I don't blame them. The time in regards to the timing, we still got what 20 days left in the transfer window. So the window's still wide open. I know we have 3 matches to play before that window closes, but at the same time, um, I don't know if the timing really bothers me. It's more the fact of what has happened is bothering me.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, have you seen the press conference with Ange Postecoglou today? Have you seen his quotes?
I haven't watched it in full, but I have seen all the bits and pieces. I saw the part that he pretty much alludes to the fact that it's been known that we might have to plan for a life without him, and so he's not unaware of it. I heard his quotes about if they asked if we had any targets that he had gave, and he had a really cheeky answer. It's not like a grocery list from my wife with milk and bread. It's a little bit different than that. So. I think he's okay. I think from an Ange Postecoglou standpoint, I'm not concerned at all because he said also from day one that Harry Kane said, I'm looking to leave. I'm looking to move on. If an offer comes in, it's likely going to be accepted. So Ange Postecoglou, the first conversation he had with Harry Kane was that. So naturally, he's going to be, okay, it's in the back of my head more so than I'm going to, obviously, if you have Harry Kane, you plan for with Harry Kane. But if there's obviously an inkling, even a shred of a chance that he could go somewhere else, you also have to prepare for that reality as well. I think Ainge checks all those boxes as far as looking and knowing, okay, X, Y, and Z could happen. How do I plan for each separate outcome? And I think we're in good hands. That's what I will say. For people who are feeling like me, a little sad, a little downtrodden, there has been a little bit of an overreaction, a little bit from some
A
fans
little
on
bit of an
Twitter.
overreaction.
Just a little bit. I think
I
someone
mean, some of
ketchup
the
on a
stuff I've
jersey.
seen
Yeah.
today, some of the things on Twitter I've seen today, my word. Listen, on this channel, I try to treat every situation in isolation. I think of it like a share price, like a price of a stock, right? Every day the stock might go up or down depending on what's happened, but then behind it you have the moving averages, right? And so, like, you can allow the individual moments when you compound on them to affect your opinion of the overall, but you should also treat everything in isolation. And when it comes to Daniel Levy, I'm often obviously accused of being a sympathizer or a defender because sometimes I think he does a terrible job. Sometimes I think he gets some credit. But on this particular one, I don't think there was an outcome that he could have had or a decision he could have made that resulted in anybody saying or everybody saying, yeah, he's done well there. If it was 150 million, people would have still said, you didn't build the team around him or whatever, right? And if it was, if he made him stay and put the middle finger up to Bayern Munich, and then Harry Kane went anyway for free next summer, then he would have been guilty of gross negligence. He was guilty of gross negligence this morning as well, letting this guy leave 48 hours before our window starts. It's not the job of a chairman to be popular or to be liked, right? It's his job to make tough decisions. But on this particular one, I think the money is the right level. And I think that unless Harry Kane has given any sign, which according to Ange, he hadn't, he'd made the opposite clear. He was all like, ever since Ange came in, Harry sat down with him and said, I want out, bro. If the money comes, if they agree a deal, I want to go. At that point, it's about trying to get every ounce of blood from the stone that you can, every droplet of blood from the stone that you can, and then eventually shake hands, right? Isn't that the best way to move forward, in your opinion, Jacob?
In my opinion, I was live on air when the news was kind of first breaking that he was allowed to fly and go and leave, and it was looking like he's on his way to the airport. So it was really from let me go back to the business side, because I was thinking about that mostly. From a business side, how much we got for Harry Kane, I think, was more than I had kind of resigned myself to getting, if that makes sense. Because originally, when the window opened and I said, if you are coming in for Harry Kane, it's got to be £100 minimum to even get me to talk to you. So that's how I felt about it. And then over time, I think I even came on here and I said, you know what, maybe 85 is best, just to get the job done, just to get him out the door and get us working in the preseason with what we got. Because now there's a lot of question marks. Are we playing Son in the 9? Are we doing Richarlison in the 9? Son on the left? Are we how are we gonna look now? Because all preseason we've seen primarily with Harry Kane on there. But from a business side, what is it? Ended up being like 120.5 over
I don't know,
time?
mate. Listen, I keep seeing differing arguments. Ali Gold said it's £100 million up front with £20 million in add-ons. But
Yeah, that's what I heard.
well, what's his name? Fabrizio said the same numbers, but with a Euro sign in front. So if it's the Euro version, then I don't think it's big enough. If it's the pound version, then it probably is. As long as those, those add-ons are accessible, and if it's winning the Champions League, then I don't think it's a good shout. 'Cause I don't think Bayern Munich are winning the Champions League with Harry Kane or without him personally.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing that we'll be able to, I guess, see it from afar. We won't have a game on that day specifically, but I think Harry Kane makes them better, and automatically they should now. The expectation is they should go on to at least the final. Whether they win it or not is up for debate. But I think looking at it from now, I'm not a Bayern fan, but looking from an outside perspective, I would say, okay, we've dropped the bag on Kim and Jay. We dropped the bag on Harry Kane. We squawked and bobbled about Harry Kane for months and months. They were lowballing. And Levy, in my opinion, he stayed true, he stayed strong, and he was gambling. We all said, what is he doing? And I said, it's likely, yes, it is a large gamble, but he's gambling on the fact that I'm going to get what he's worth, or I'm going to have him for the rest of the season. Like, you're going to either get him for the price or you're not.
Or you're not.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of what it comes down to. You don't go to a car dealership and say, let me offer 3/4 of what you're asking for that. They'd be like, huh, all right, have a good day. It's kind of, you don't get the car until you buy it. And I'm not reducing Harry Kane to an automobile, don't get it twisted, but I'm just saying from a business standpoint.
He's a Rolls Royce, isn't he? He's a Rolls Royce of an automobile,
I'm hoping like an SUV. I'm a kind of a big boy,
you're an
so
SUV
I want something.
yeah.
I want something that could fit my whole family. I could sleep in the back of. I'm 6'4", Sean. I need some room to spread my legs.
He's 6'4". You're like Mickey Van der Ven. We're going to talk about him in a second. It's got a couple of super chats I want to get to, and then someone also asked a question. Let me get to that one first. Barry and Baxter. Good to see you, mate. Haven't seen you around these parts. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. Sean, even middle of the road supporters like Crackers have gone fully Levy out at present. Question for you: whilst I get selling Harry Kane was right, it transpired. Do you agree with the way? I'm not sure what that last part of the sentence means. Do I agree with it? Do I agree with selling Harry Kane? Yeah, I do. Yeah, listen, I think that. I'm someone that, first and foremost, in my life, I've always adopted change. I've lived in 4 different countries. I've given up careers when I was doing good things because I wanted to try something else. I've done that 3 times. I've moved country 3 times in 4.5 years. But I like change. Change, I think, is the only stability, the only stable thing in life, is that things are going to change. And I'm always up for, it's sad. You mourn the moment. I was sad this morning. I was sad last night. But as soon as I had my cornflakes, as soon as I had my coffee, I was like, all right, now let's start the conversation around what do we do? And I want to get into that conversation with you, Jacob, because I think that there's 2 angles to look at it. And with regards Daniel Levy, Barry, listen, yeah, mate, everyone has their, I think Crackers actually said it one day, everyone has their own breaking point. Water finds its own level. I've certainly, been earlier on in this window, I've never been closer to being, as vitriolic in my thoughts about Daniel Levy as some of the people that are Levy out. I just don't personally feel like I'm as far that way as some of those guys. But listen, I totally get it. I totally get why people feel the way they do. I think for me, what happens next, what happens now over the next 3 weeks, I think will be a defining moment in Daniel Levy's tenure. If that money gets sucked into a black hole and we've spent the Harry Kane money, and we're going to crunch some numbers in a minute on regards what the net spend looks like with Harry Kane, without it, with the Poro money and the Decky money, all that stuff. And it kind of leads me to feel like it can't have been spent. If that is the decision that Daniel Levy says, maybe you get 20 million more for one player, but apart from it, that's it, because you've already spent the money on this, that, and the other, then I think Daniel Levy is an absolute buffoon and a moron, and everyone should rightly chastise him. But if he allows that money to go where Ange wants it to go and plug the holes that we need, and there's lots of them, I think, then I think Daniel Levy on this one, for me personally, gets a pat on the back for getting max value out of a tricky situation. and then it's how we spend it. We'll talk about that. But there's a couple of super chats I want to get to, and then I want to get Jacob's take on what I just said. Blaine Dev, my man. Blaine Dev was the first winner of the first shirt. It arrived this morning. He sent me a picture. It's a little bit tight on him. I think he's also, so he's on his own journey with his
aren't we all?
Gym routine and stuff. So he's saying he's going to use it as a motivational metric.
Yeah, there you go.
Get into in a couple of months' time. Big up, Blaine Dev. He says, big up, Sean. Hitting you with the early one here. If we take Ange's comments about preparing for Kane's exit, can you see us spending before departures? Okay, they're perfect. And if not, who goes and what's the priority? Yeah, I think I just sort of spoken about that. So I'm going to let Jacob go. But big up, Blaine Dev. Really appreciate your ongoing support, my man. You're a lovely guy, and I wish you well with the shirt fitting system. Jacob, what's your thoughts on Blaine Dev's chat? Do you think we're spending any more money? And if so, is it departures dependent, or what's going on there?
We have 20 days left in the transfer window. Now, if we use all that Kane money, it does remain to be seen. We will see. I was having this conversation on my show yesterday. Someone was like, I think that we've already spent all of the Harry Kane money. And I kind of tempered, they have known for a while that they potentially could get this money. Now, as a business, Sean, let me ask you, if you're starting a business, right, you do drop that money. You spend that money in the hopes that the return in the long run will give you more. So I'm looking at it from a standpoint of this business isn't just started. It's been here for a minute. So is it necessary to spend money that you don't necessarily have? That's my question. And from a business standpoint, it doesn't make sense to me why you would spend money that you don't have. I don't go, even though, you have a credit card, but you still want to make sure you have that money to back it up, right?
But I think we do have the money to back it up, right? I think we do. We should have the money. I don't know. I think it's always difficult because Tottenham's accounts give away the bare minimum information that they have to by law. And they bucket the kind of cost structures and the revenue structures into very broad oversights that you can't really dig too deep into. And also they say that they've got £250 million in the cash in the bank, but obviously they have their debt requirements, they have player trading liabilities, short term and long term. So it is quite difficult to kind of land on an idea of what sort of budget we should be able to provide every year. I do think it's influenced and somewhat strangled a little bit by our inability to offload players. I spent most of the latter part of last season saying, the rest of Europe is broke, right? How are Chelsea going to be able, Chelsea are being very clever with their amortization, but how are they going to offload the players that aren't working out, that they don't need? And the one thing I really screwed up on with that analysis, I guess, was recognizing that Chelsea have gone and bought the very best players, and some of them aren't going to fit the system, some of them are, but the ones that don't, the teams out there that do have the money in Europe, and put aside Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia is a new kid on the block, which I don't think anyone really saw, but the rest of the teams, but the teams that do have the money are the teams that want the top players, and Chelsea are offloading a lot of very good quality players. So the problem, thinking that it's apples and apples between Tottenham and Chelsea, is silly, because the players that Tottenham are trying to offload, nobody wants. Or nobody of the caliber of club that have money to spend in Europe wants them. So you have to go to the second tier clubs, the Sociedads, the Villarreals, the Atleticos, whatever, and those guys don't have the money. So it's always going to be a struggle to get max value from those clubs for players that we want to offload.
Sometimes I think you got to go ahead and just take what you can get with some of it, right? Like, I have an old computer that ain't work right. It still can turn on. It still functions per se. But if I went and I took that computer anywhere, the value, hey Ben, the value that I would get for that book, it's a fraction of what I spent for it. So sometimes when it comes down to it, you've had a used product for so long, it's just time to get rid and move on, in my opinion. Just if you give me $5 for Eric Dyer, you can have it. $10 for whoever else. Just keep it moving along. I heard that Paulo Queef told me it was supposed to be a big regime build. It was supposed to be I think the quote was a ginormous rebuild, and contracts were going to get ripped up. And I ain't seen one ripped up. I was looking forward to the confetti personally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's I think maybe one of those players where the contract might have been torn up more after the evening. Ben, sorry. Trying to work out what time of day it is. Good to see you, Benny boy. I'm gonna bring you in just a second, but in terms of those contracts being torn up, mate. I think maybe obviously Lloris is still probably that's still gonna happen probably, but he doesn't seem to be in any rush to find a new club. And then I think one of the players that we were thinking would probably come to some arrangement where a mutual termination was Ivan Perisic, but we heard today that Postecoglou was really impressed with him and says he absolutely wants him to be a part of the squad. Absolutely sees the value in this guy. He's a physical specimen. He keeps himself really fit. He's professional. Someone that he.
I see the quote.
I was actually going to ask you guys whether or not, when we're talking about the captaincy, no one's thought about. People are saying, is it Sonny? Is it Bissouma? Is it Romero? Is it Maddison? No one's mentioned the name Ivan Perisic. Ben, is Ivan Perisic? Is he? First of all, is he staying? Second of all, how important is he going to be for Postecoglou's system? And thirdly, is there any chance that you might find out that he's captain?
I don't think he'll be captain personally. I don't think he's going to be captain. He's a brilliant squad player to have. He is someone. If you do have a leadership council for some stupid reason, we've got one of those. If you do have a leadership council, he's sort of the person you want on it because he's been there, seen it, done it, got all the medals to boot. That is a guy you consider having as a vice captain, someone that the manager can talk to. What do you reckon? He's only been here for a year as well, which means he's going to be really honest. It's not like he's not sentimental about his mates in the squad. He's going to tell you who is a good player and who isn't a good player. He's the perfect guy to judge the winning mentality. But is he captain? No, not for me. If he's made
who is captain for you?
For me, there's only one choice for captain, and it's Sonny, which means it won't be Sonny.
Well, you know what? Americanka here is... hello, Americanka. It's great to see you. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah,
out in Bosnia-Herzegovina, I believe.
Yeah.
Very cool part of the world. She's saying Postecoglou covertly sounded like he didn't want Son as captain. I have to agree. Every time that they were kind of I don't know if have you seen the I can bring up some of the quotes. I'm not sure if I've got them all in front of me, but when asked about the captain, he said, "Yes, I've made my mind up, and I'll let you know tomorrow." And they were sort of trying to get some, trying to pick away at him, trying to get some insights, and saying, "Is it based on?" How much time they've been at the club and the kind of seniority. And he was like, yeah, well, those things are kind of part of it, but it's certainly not, I've got no issues in giving younger players the captaincy. It's all about who's the right man for the job based on what I see on the training pitch. And I don't know if Sonny comes across as a leader. He comes across more as like everybody's mate, but I don't know if you want your captain to be everybody's mate. Don't you want like a little bit of like, as I say, professionalism, which is a word that he used to describe.
There's only one person I can see who's going to be the captain, and he had a documentary written about him.
Eric Dyer.
Eric Dyer is going to be the captain of Tottenham.
No.
Eric Dyer is going to be the captain of Tottenham. Why?
I feel like a lot of these recommendations have been players that we don't necessarily know are starting, like Perisic. We don't know who's starting. I saw Højbjerg. I see Bissouma. We don't know who's going to be starting. I mean, we saw primarily Højbjerg in this.
Documentary about Eric Dyer. An ashes to ashes story about how he came and then he got bitten by a mutant spider and he became Spider-Man in his red spandex.
He can't be captain, mate. I think you need a player that's going to play at least 60% of minutes.
I might be seeing this because I'm miserable, but it's the only thing I can see. It's like every single manager has played him.
You got to think. There's no way. There's no way. I'm not paying any stock into that, Ben. I'm sorry. There's no way Eric Dyer is going to be our captain. You saw what he looked like as a captain in the last preseason match we saw. We've seen him over and over. There's no way that I refuse to believe it's like.
That's what I can see, Jacob.
You're trying to manifest it, is what it sounds like, Ben. You need to calm, just breathe, and it's not going to be Dyer. Believe in that.
People were saying the only reason that Sonny travelled to Barcelona was because he's going to be the club captain, But we do lose him to the Asian Cup for a month as well. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Who else can be the captain of that football club?
There's obvious. The obvious choices to put in the mix are James Maddison. You give that guy. Not
He's
only are you
not
giving
been
that
a
guy.
captain. He's not been a captain.
You know,
Was he not
every
captain
Twitter
last year
poll.
for Leicester?
I don't think he was.
Madison
James
was, yeah.
Vardy still captain, was he?
No, Madison was. Vardy hardly played. It was Madison.
So Maddison was captain last year. Yeah.
For Leicester.
Bissouma. I mean, Bissouma has already mentioned that. I mean, a while back into pre-season that Postecoglou's asked him to be more senior, more leadership. I just don't know if Bissouma speaks English like fluently, where he can absolutely where he can grab someone by the throat and
I think he
Yeah,
totally
yeah,
could. I could definitely see it from Bissouma.
He's everyone's mate, just like
I don't know
Sonny.
about that. I don't know about that, Ben, because when you hear things that came out from the locker room, James Maddison apparently was trying to take leadership in the locker room, trying to take prowess over the music speaker, and Bissouma said, "No, this is mine. I have control of this." And he's kind of like, "Yeah, it'll be a fun thing to see how it plays out this season." I don't think that. I think we're overthinking it here. I don't think it's that complex of a thing, and I love Ange's response to it, which is exactly what you said, Sean. So I don't know, and I think whoever Ange picks as a captain, as long as it's not Eric Dyer, then I definitely support it. So
I see Eric Dyer as the captain.
You keep saying it. I need you to stop saying
I don't
it.
see it happening, mate. I don't see it. I think because I don't think Eric Dyer is going to start. I don't think it's in the intentions of Ange Postecoglou to have him anything other than if he does stay, it's going to be on a situation where you're only playing if there's an injury. I don't think you can have a captain who is not first choice, or at least is like not guaranteed, but like expected to play 60-70% of minutes. And I don't think I really hope Eric Dyer isn't anyway. But Chris O'Riordan saying Captain Romero, that'd be interesting. I think you need like calm presence as well.
Captains then, because he'll be sent off every 3 games.
Yeah, I don't think that will happen. Gary O'Neill saying
That's an over-exaggeration, Ben. Stop spreading slander. I hate that there's some kind of he doesn't miss every 3rd game. He's not Ryan Sessegnon. Let's be real here. We need to start respecting our players. This guy's been here for 2 seasons, and we're always slagging him off. That's the reason why I even defended Romero in the first place, is because people are always taking the mick out of him, and it's not even fair because he's only had 2 red cards last season. Everyone makes out like he gets one every other match or every 3 matches. Like
red cards, though, Jacob.
If
they were red cards and it didn't mean to anything, because those red cards.
Because beating Milan, we were going to have a future in the Champions League. Is that what you're telling me? You're telling me if he would have stayed on the pitch.
That was an absolute disastrous game from him.
It was the way he.
Who else was it a disaster class from? We capitulated all over the place, and it wasn't just Romero. And I think
I'm not saying it was just Romero, but to get sent off at home when you're chasing the game. Listen, it was a disaster class from everyone. You're right, including Conte setting up to defend a 1-goal deficit. One name we have forgotten to mention here, and I guess it's on the presumption that he's leaving. Pierre Hojbjerg?
No.
Do we know he's starting?
He's not going to be playing 60% of the games. We saw him.
I look around the dressing room and I feel like, who is the person who's most capable of grabbing hold of someone who's having a terrible stinker of a game and going, fix up, bro? He's got the most kind of that most edgy side to him, where he doesn't care if you like me, I'm going to tell you how it is. He was barking orders at Harry Kane last year. The audacity, I loved it.
But he wants to leave as well, Sean. He wants to leave as well. He wants to go to Atletico Madrid. The captain has to be the most committed person on the ship.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is why it's got to be Sonny, because as soon as talk came about Saudi coming in, paying him like Jordan Henderson is earning 700 grand a week, 600, 700 grand a week. Imagine how much they would pay the most famous player in the whole of Asia. They would pay him £1 million a week to get a player. Yeah. And the first thing he did was said, nope, I love Tottenham. I'm playing for Tottenham.
Yeah, it's true. That is true. Commitment and loyalty is also something.
Should be captain.
Yeah. Do you think that Sonny's going to have his best season for Tottenham this year with Harry Kane gone? Like, you could make the argument that when Harry Kane was injured in the previous 3 or 4 years, I know he hasn't really had an injury the last season and a half, but before then, like the Champions League year, the Carabao Cup year, when Harry Kane was out of action for long periods of time and we were all thinking, oh no, it's game over, Sonny always stepped up. Some of his best periods of form in a Tottenham shirt have come when Harry Kane hasn't been there. And I wonder whether or not, Harry Kane's absence is going to give additional levels of responsibility to players who would thrive when asked to step up. Players maybe, or I think Sonny will be one of them, but maybe also someone like Richarlison as well. I think the only person who was happier than Harry Kane to see Harry Kane leave is Richarlison, right?
Sean, well, it's nature. Think about in a wolf pack, when one alpha leaves the wolf pack, another one will step up inevitably. Whether it's Son, whether it's Madison, whether it's Basuma, that all is going to remain to be seen. And it obviously just gives us speculatory things to talk about. But for me, I'm not really concerned about it. That's why I kind of said, like at the beginning, I think we're all overthinking this thing tremendously because it's already been solved. It's something that we're going to find the answer out at least on Sunday. And I don't know. But when we're speculating about who it could be, for me personally, it's at least got to be someone we know is going to start, right? That's ground one. That's minimum requirement, is you got to be someone who's obviously going to start. So I don't know.
It's got to be Sonny.
Yeah, because I see Sonny's.
Dyer's not going to start. Højbjerg's not going to start unless you're going to do something really crazy. But I really like Basuma, and I see where people are saying Basuma could be a captain in a couple of years. I don't give that to Basuma after he's just had a very difficult year, basically being a scapegoat for Antonio Conte, which is either a very bad thing or a very... I love Basuma as a footballer. I think he's going to be absolutely excellent, and he showed his quality over pre-season. But to give the captaincy to a guy that's just had a really difficult season... That's a lot of weight on the shoulders to be the replacement for Harry Kane.
Some people thrive under it though, and I think that's the decision, right? Like, if you're asking someone to be the captain of the ship on the pitch, you have to look into their eyes and kind of go, can I get an extra 10% out of you by you knowing how important you are, not just to me but to everybody else? And I think that they're like identifying that player at Tottenham isn't easy. But I think you're right, Ben. I do think that Sonny is probably the most obvious choice. And maybe there's an impact if Sonny doesn't get given the captain's armband. What happens then? Like that kind of negative impact of he's been overstepped by a guy who's been through the door for the last 2 minutes in James Maddison or Basuma who's been injured. Sonny probably must think it's my turn. It's my time.
Like Sonny should. If I would feel disrespected if I was Sonny and I wasn't given the captaincy, because when Harry Kane was always injured during important moments of the season, Son Heung-min stepped up and scored important goals. He helped us get to a Champions League final. He helped us get to other finals along the way when Harry Kane was injured. If he's not given the captaincy, Sonny's out the door next year. Like, full blown, he's out the door next year saying, why have you disrespected me? I've been the guy that everyone's looked to. I'm the centre of marketing. As much as everyone loves to think that Harry Kane is the poster boy for Tottenham, or was, sells the most shirts for Tottenham. Who's the guy that people fly halfway across the world? It's not Harry Kane. It's Sonny. He's the guy that brings people to sit in that stadium. He's the guy that turned up when Harry Kane was not there because he was injured, because he was overplayed. Therefore, he got injured because his ankles were made of glass. You sorted that issue now. It's got to be Sonny. It's got to be. And any other choice is wrong. Categorically.
Mate, we'll find out tomorrow. Apparently, we're going to find out tomorrow. I want to say a massive thank you to Daniel Horton for the super sticker a minute ago. I can't see it, mate. I'm so sorry. I'd love to be able to bring it up and acknowledge it, but I do at least acknowledge the generosity, my man. Very nice of you. Frankly, Tottenham as well. Big up for the comment about Sonny to the Asian Cup. Barry and Baxter, big up, mate. Thank you for that. You haven't said anything.
When is the Asia Cup, by the way?
January, I think. January into February.
So Bentancur will be back. So when Sonny goes to the Asia Cup, give it to Bentancur. It will be fit then.
Yeah. Oh, Bentancur's another one. Yeah, it's another option. Moondog with the super chat. I think it's going to be Basuma. A lot of people want it to be Basuma. I think I personally... maybe, like I said, maybe Ange Postecoglou did say he likes this guy and he wants to give him more leadership responsibility. So it does lead you down that path. Mick Dundee, big up Mick from Australia. Really appreciate to see the generosity, my man. Ange's captains come from the midfield in positions where they control the games, i.e. McGregor at Celtic. It will be Basuma, Son is not fit enough yet. That's an interesting take. That is true. Callum McGregor was the captain. And I believe back in Brisbane, when he was playing for Brisbane, he also had I forget the guy's name. Maybe Mick Dundee will tell me. He's Australian. I think the midfielder for Brisbane Raw was also the captain, I think.
None of our midfielders are captain material. I don't think Basuma is captain material. I don't think he is yet. I think he's a terrific footballer, and I think he's going to be absolutely a stalwart in this Tottenham team. But he's not someone I would say is captain yet. I don't think he is. It's not like when Harry Redknapp came in, the first thing he did was bought Scott Parker from West Ham and made him captain immediately. That was Scotty Parker, someone that had been the captain of a team for a long time, and he was the perfect guy to lead the team at the time.
Yeah.
He might even make Skippy the captain.
Nah, he's not making Skippy the captain. Might be a future captain, but not one for right now.
I don't think Skippy's good enough to be captain. Skippy's been good in pre-season. He's not good enough to be captain.
I'd be surprised if he's even still. If he's still in the squad, it's because he's homegrown. I think if we're trying to make room, we'll have to figure that out in a little bit. Though, skinny fat Huey, big up skinny fat Huey, with the club captain 33. Is that Ben Davies? And that is Ben Davies and match day captain Sonny. That's an interesting take. Jacob, any take on Ben Davies?
I guess that's assuming he starts at the left center back, which is a mystery. Who's going to start there? Sanchez played a blinder in that position versus Barcelona's A team. I don't know. Yeah. It may be interesting. What if,
Big Dave is back, by the way. Maybe he gets the captain's armband. That'll take everyone.
He's not
take everyone by surprise.
He was back until the last 5 minutes of the game when he shut off like a typical Davin.
He was shattered, mate. Everyone was shattered in that last 5 minutes.
But it always happens. And if it's me, I play Van der Ven on Saturday. I cannot see Sanchez again.
I don't know. I think that might be a lot. I've been an advocate for Van der Ven all along, but I mean, how many training sessions has he even hit?
More than
multiple double
or he's played more preseason games than the rest of the Tottenham team.
Okay, but
under what system? He did say he hasn't played 90 minutes yet, and he said he hasn't had the time. Yeah, Ange said he hasn't played 90 minutes, and he hasn't, even though he's joining up with a team, he hasn't kind of acclimated or whatever to the system. So, but he said he's available for selection. I think he's Ange's keeping things close to his chest. Big up Jake B for filling in the gaps on who else the other captains were. McKay was an 8, Jedinik was a 6, Keeda was a 6, and McGregor was an 8. So yeah, he likes his midfield to be the captain. So if he keeps to that continuity, then maybe it's going to be one of. I mean, Maddison could still that could be James Maddison, obviously. That could be Basuma. Let's presume Højbjerg is going to leave, so he won't be that guy. It's not going to be Skippy, and it's not going to be Pape Sarr, and it's not going to be Lo Celso, and it won't be Bentancur probably because he's injured, and what's his name hasn't even probably seen Bentancur play or kick a ball yet. So yeah, interesting. Jake, thank you very much for super chat. Thank you to all of you guys for the super chat. I really appreciate it. On NAR 33 club captain, think Aspi at Chelsea.
Yeah, we're not Chelsea.
What does that mean? 33 club
Aspilicueta.
Ben Davies.
Ben Davies is down here. Prime Aspilicueta is class.
No, but he said no. I think Skinny's saying no, as in like no, because I thought he meant Ben Davies as the club captain and Sonny as the match day, but he's saying no, 33 club captain.
Yeah,
I think Aspilicueta at Chelsea. I don't get it, Skinny. Don't put another super chat in, mate. Just write it in. I'll search for you. I'll search for you.
If Ben Davies is captain, it's even worse than if Eric Dyer's captain.
Thank you very much for the super chats, everybody. Can you please also smash the like button for me? Make sure you are hitting the subscribe on United Spurs of America. After the show, I will put in Benny Kaufman's coffee company into the description. And like I said, guys, can you also, in fact, Ben, if you could send me the link in the private chat, I'll put it into the group for the comments for everyone to help you out. And guys, like I said at the start, if you don't mind, can you please hit the @Sean Butler TV channel? It's just going to be a backup because of what's happened with the subscriber thing. So if you could do me a favor there and just hit that, it'll open up another tab and smash the subscribe. Do the same thing for Jacob and for Ben, and everyone is a happy happy lad on a Friday night. Let's talk about the starting 11, guys. This is what I wanted to talk about mainly. We're putting aside the captain's conversation for a second. Let us talk a little bit about the 11. Now we know Harry Kane's not there. We've just mentioned a little bit about Mickey van der Ven. We're not sure if he's going to be fit. Who is your starting 11 for Brentford in, what is it now, 36 hours time? Jacob, I'll start with you, my man.
I'm going to go in net Vicario. That's pretty obvious. Then I'll go at the right back, Emerson Royale. My two center backs on the left will be, I'm going Sanchez and Romero. I think Ange Postecoglou put the meat on a platter and said, which hungry dog going to come eat it first? And Sanchez, if you're basing anything off what we saw versus a really good squad, because you could say West Ham was a B team, etc. I disagree with that, but you got West Ham, Singapore Sea City Lions, and Shakhtar. Meh, is what I'm going to say, even if it's West Ham's A team. But Barcelona, that's a good test. And to me, you know what? He showed the desire to go and grab that the most. So I'm giving him the left center back position, at least for this match, until Van de Ven has had more of time to ingratiate and understand and get just match fit and, really see the game for what it is. So, I hope he comes in as a sub. I don't want to see 90 minutes of Davinson Sanchez, maybe 45 minutes, 50, 60 minutes of Davinson, and then let's go Van de Ven. I think that's a fair thing. And then at the left back,
I'm probably on board with that, if I'm honest. Yeah, go on. Left back.
Left back, Destiny Ugodi, the one and only. Unfortunately, he's going to be wearing number 38, but that's neither here nor there. I'm going him at the left back. My midfield, I'm going Papa Matasar, Bissouma, and James Maddison. And
wait, slow down. Pape Sarr, Bissouma and Maddison. Who's playing in the 6?
Bissouma
in the 6. Mm-hmm. Sarr, Boss in the 8. The shallow 8. And then Maddison. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then my front 3, I think Kulusevski's going to be starting regardless of what's going on. He kind of has to. And then if it's my preferred 11, I'm putting Son in the middle. We haven't seen it, but I'm putting him at the 9. And then Perisic there on the left. And then I'll see, maybe same thing with Perisic, 60 minutes, and then give me Solomon for the remainder. Let's see how that works. I think that's a good 11.
Richie can't even get into the 11.
He can sub on at like the 75th for
No, I
Sonny.
get it. I just think he'll be absolutely heartbroken. He will be heartbroken if he doesn't get.
I agree.
I think I agree 100% with your 11, mate. I think there's games where I think that we could be a little bit more experimental, trying to play Lo Celso and Maddison together. I think those, maybe Luton at home, Wolves at home, those sorts of games where we should be able to dominate possession. But Brentford away is a really tough start, and I think that is I'm going to say spot on, mate. Benny boy, any changes, or where do you want to
play skip and play Bissouma? Should be playing as the number 8 against Brentford. We need Bissouma not in a number 6 position against Brentford. We need him to be manhandling that Brentford midfield. They are a very physical team. If Bissouma is in the number 6 and he's having to basically child mine 2 defenders because we cannot defend, it will be a very long afternoon for us. Bissouma needs to be in that midfield, manhandling that midfield. He needs to be controlling that game. So personally, I start Oliver Skip to be the number 6, and I have Bissouma as the number 8, and just say, do what you want, Bissouma. Go wherever you want. Manhandle people. If you want to send them to the cleaners, do it. Because we need him to be that physical presence. If he's only as the number 6, he's going to be overly limited, in my opinion. I think
Ollie Skip hasn't played a second in Ange Ball as a 6. He's been used as the second 8. I think Ange looks at Skippy and thinks of him as the guy like the Rio Hatate. He makes late runs into the box. He's there trying to scrap around. I don't know. Listen, I don't hate what you're saying. I just think that Ange hasn't tried him in the 6. So.
Bissouma is very much technically better on the ball, physically better. The thing I'm worried about is we've got 2 centre-backs that can't head a ball. If we've got Sanchez and Romero, they're not strong in the air.
Sanchez can head a ball. I disagree with you there, Ben. We saw it. He won us a game with that head of his. So I think he can.
A long time ago, Jacob. A long time ago. There's a difference between an attacking header and a defensive header. It's a massive difference. You're up against, if you're defending a corner, which Brentford are very decent at corners, you're going to have the towering centre halves of Ben Mee against
I think
you.
beating someone in the air is beating someone in the air, regardless if it's on
we're
a corner
not good
defensively.
at it, Jacob. We are absolutely terrible at it. So it is going
I
to
don't
be.
know. I feel like this whole time you've just been putting limits on people and telling everyone what people can't do and what they can't. I'm just like, man, come on. Have a little hope, man. It'll be all right.
We're not good in the air. We're not good in the air.
Okay, that's your
opinion.
opinion.
We aren't particularly strong in the air.
It's
our
terrible
vulnerability, yeah. But with Mickey van der Ven coming in, that's why I also think we need. Let me. I want to bring up a player for you. I think we all sort of somewhat agree. Ben, I'm surprised you're saying is that so. That's the 11 you want to play, or is that the 11 you think Ange will play?
Almost don't care to. I like Jacob's team. Ugoti, as he likes to call him, is a physical specimen. He's quick and he will commit people, and that will send Brentford going backwards. We need to have players like Solomon come on late when Brentford are tired, because they're not going to be that as they look fit as well. Then you bring on a Solomon for a Perisic, maybe bring on a Solomon, and then you can against a tight defence. Solomon will be great later in the game. He's still not going to be fully into it, but it's a real problem because we are not a physical team, and Brentford are a very physical team.
They bullied us last time we saw him.
The thing with Ange Ball is that he makes substitutions on 60 minutes to keep up intensity. So he's going to be playing. You will see quite a lot of 45-minute substitutions, 60-minute substitutions to keep up the press. Don't be surprised if you see Sarr start and then skip finish. Like, we will do lots of substitutions. He likes to do substitutions. And
they've got a very old school, solid back four, like Nathan Collins, Ben Mee, Ruslev, Pinnock, Aaron Hickey. Like that, it's a bit of a no nonsense. It's going to be interesting to see how we like. You could think that Decky's going to be a match for them, as in like the powerhouse kind of stuff. But it'll be interesting to see whether or not Solomon is the sort of guy that can have some success by driving at them, because I don't necessarily think any of those guys are blessed with blistering pace and being able to turn quick and that sort of stuff. Sorry, Jacob. You want to say
what something? I will say about Solomon, though, is the fact that I think bringing him off the bench with 25, 30 minutes to go, 30 minutes tops, because I think he will get found out over the course of 60 to 90 minutes. I don't think he's a guy we can start right off the bat, but he's shown to be able to do it in the Premier League regardless, come off the bench, bag a goal. That's what I want to see from him, personally.
He's quick. He's going to be...
he plays strong. He plays strong with the ball too. It's almost glued to his feet, that low center of gravity. I really say he's like the Israeli Landon Donovan, because he just kind of reminds me of the way that he runs with the ball.
This generation's Rocket Ronnie O'Sullivan.
So I think he could do some bits. I think he'll be all right.
Ronnie, I can't remember. My mind's gone.
Let me ask you guys about this, right? So I wanted to... now I know you're 11. I personally think we can get a result. What?
Ronnie Rosenthal. My mind's gone. That's
okay. Yeah, Ronnie Rocket. Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I was about 9 years old, him smashing in a hat trick against Southampton. We won the game 5-2, I think it was. We were 2-0 down at half time. It was like 1995, 1994, something like that. And Ronnie Rocket comes on and scores a second half hat trick. All three of the goals were 25-yard absolute screamers against Bruce Grobbelaar in goal. And after that, Bruce Grobbelaar about a week later was done for match fixing. And everyone was like, wait, I don't think he was actually done for match fixing in that game. But everyone was then like, wait, was Bruce Grobbelaar just allowing Ronnie Rocket's goals to get to go in? But when you watch it back, the goals were absolute screamers. Anyway, moving on from Ronnie Rocket, I want to ask you about a guy. How are we going to spend this money, right? So if there is, let's assume there's £100 million, and that we've got 70% of it, 70 million quid that's available to go back into the team. Have you guys heard of a guy called, and I'm looking at Jacob because I know you like looking around the Dutch league and you like looking around, for some of these players in that around,
sniff out
southern area of southern.
I'm no Strasbourg Steve though. I would never claim to be a Strasbourg Steve, but I do my.
Have you heard of Geertruida from? He's a right back / right-sided centre back / left-sided centre back / DM.
I have not heard of him. I have not heard of him. How do you spell his last name?
It's a hard one. It's Geertruida. The guy's 23 years old. He's about 6 foot, but he can play right-sided centre back. He can play right back, left-sided centre back, and he's a 6. And this guy, when he's dribbling, he reminds me a little bit of like Moussa Dembele, but he's playing as a centre back. He can get this ball when he's so confident, calm, consume.
His heat map is insane for a center back. I'm looking at his heat map right now. It's absolutely insane for a center back.
He's all over the place, right?
Puts Romero to shame.
This guy to me is the way that Tottenham can move forward. Because if you go and spend 50, 60 million, 70 million, whatever it is on a tap sober, then he's going to need to play. Right. And then you don't want to have to spend, if you just spend 60 million or 50, 40 million, whatever it is on Van der Ven, he's going to want to play. And if you've just brought Udogie home from Italy and what a talent he could be, then he's going to want to play. So it's going to be difficult to convince someone who's 50 million quid or whatever to come in and be that guy. For me, someone like Geertruida will always have minutes off the bench because he has the ability and the flexibility to play as a right back if Emerson Royale gets injured. But if Emerson doesn't get injured, and he's having a worldie, then when Romero gets sent off, he can step in and play right-sided centre-back. And even at times, if you needed him to, if there was issues, he could play on the left or in the 6. I just think he's such an absolute, like, jack of all trades. And he could be a master of some as well when you look at him. I don't know if you guys haven't heard of him, then I guess I'm just talking to myself. But
no, yeah, I mean, I'm looking into him right now, and I don't see anything that really... I mean, he started... virtually every match outside of one in the Eredivisie. He's played Europa League, Conference League. He's been in Euro qualifier, the Euro Championship qualifier. I mean, sounds like at 23 he's had quite a wide range of experience from what it looks like. The heat map would suggest that this man likes getting up the pitch and playing high up. I'm interested in it. I'm not against it. I like someone who could also cover for maybe an Emerson Royale. But I'm gonna play a little Nick Collison, if you will. When has Emerson been hurt? Has he been hurt? I don't think he has.
Last year.
Oh, he did. Okay.
I don't remember.
I don't know. I don't follow Emerson like that. I thought he just.
No, it's not just that though. I just think we're hanging a hell of a lot of our expectations and our hopes on a player who, for the vast majority of last season, most Tottenham fans didn't want anywhere near the first team. Yeah. And all of a sudden, now he's our linchpin right back. And for what it's worth, I haven't seen anything in pre-season that was really something to write home about.
He had a couple good tackles.
He had a couple of good shifts, but he wasn't like, I still think he got pinned back and his positional, he was too narrow at times. He's going to learn, and God, that, I love a trier. And he is definitely a trier. He puts everything he can into being a professional, and he's a fun guy. And I want him to succeed. But if he does get injured, or if his form does drop, where do we go? Pedro Porro can't defend, and people are saying he's a right winger because they're only saying that because they know he's not a right back. I don't think he naturally fits the right wing either.
Yeah.
Well, I've been saying about Pedro Porro, if I'm a manager and I'm game planning and I know Pedro Porro's out there, all I'm saying to my left winger is run behind this guy and we're going to send balls over the top. That's it. You do that 10 times, you'll score 8 of them, I promise you. Yeah. I don't trust Pedro Porro in the slightest at that right back position.
An orthodox right back. He's too short. You need to be minimum 5'11".
I'm not even gonna say anything about the shortness. Lisandro Martinez is a hell of a center back, and he can barely get over the table counter at a restaurant. But what I'm saying is,
good footballer. There is difference. He's a very good footballer.
Okay, well, all I'm saying about Pedro Porro is if he just had more like spatial awareness, then I think he wouldn't be nearly as bad as we've seen him. Because all the times I'm seeing him getting beat, balls in behind, runners that he doesn't. I don't. Maybe it's a communication issue with the back line. I like to think that maybe there's some other reason attributing to it other than, I mean, again, we've had a couple months of this guy. We haven't really seen too much of him. Maybe he could get better at that, but I think it's just a lot of, you need communication in the back line to understand, hey, you have a runner in behind, or you got to take the one in front of you. Someone's got to be communicating that. And that's why I think it also lends a good argument to what we were talking about as far as the captain.
Again, 23? 23? Is he 23, right?
I think
Who's this?
Pedro Porro, 23, 24?
Yeah, 24, I think. Yeah,
23.
If he doesn't know,
he just turned 23, by the way, in September.
If he doesn't know at that age you don't let people run in behind you as a right back. We've got serious.
Yeah, I
problems.
mean, he's a right wing back,
I just
right?
think playing as the right wing back for Sporting are one of the best teams in Portugal. So and he had the reassurance of having what's that guy's name? Ineos. I forget the guy's name.
It's also
He had a monster right-sided centre back in behind him.
Number 6 in the middle, right?
The monster number 6. Yeah, and they had what's wrong with my head at this time of night? Manuel Ugarte in the 6th, right? So like the Sporting are a great team. They're a high possession team. I just don't think he was that often required to defend, you know. And when it was more like clearing up, and that was as a right wing back, let alone a full back. Yeah, Ignacio, that's it. Good man. And yeah, and Ugarte.
Poro is bloody good. He's got a great shot on him. He's quick. He just cannot defend.
Listen, I don't know. Look, I'm happy for him to come. What I found interesting though, if we're all thinking that if he's anything, he's a right winger rather than a right-sided centre, a right back. But when against Barcelona with 15 minutes to play, Postecoglou took off Perisic, brought on Jed Spence, moved Solomon over to the left, and then asked Jed Spence to play as the right winger, and left Poro back as a defender again.
He knows that Jed Spence is gone.
But if that's the case, then why not allow Poro 15 minutes to see if he can handle it as the winger? You know, I think he obviously thinks he is the backup to Emerson. We've got a £50 million player that's going to sit on the bench and only play when Emerson doesn't, in a position he can't.
Meanwhile, the guy in front of him is doing TikTok dances before the game, saying, "Hey, I'm ready for Arsenal, baby. Here we go. Come on."
No look headers and stuff.
Yeah. Hey, no look. He was 0 for 2 last time I saw him with those no look passes. He was trying a little extra something.
That no look pass thing is gonna I don't know why he feels the need to do it. They never work. B, they're not fooling anybody. I think he thinks because he's not looking, no one else is either.
He's like, "You're definitely watching my eyes here. Let me throw you off with it." It's a strange concept to me, but he's got that flair. It's all right. He brings the vibes.
I've got a couple more super chats, guys. We're only going to go for about another. I don't know how much longer you guys have got, but only about another 15 more minutes. I'll get your last couple of questions. Blaine Dev, big up again, my man. Really appreciate it. Complete random question. Thinking economics here. Why have we no naming rights yet for the stadium? That would inject 150 million overnight. Actually, everyone thinks that the naming rights is going to be some massive game changer for Tottenham. It's the security of
that's what I was told,
of revenue, but if the number that's been touted is 25 to 30 million pound this season over the next 10, 20 seasons, and obviously it's 600 million in the coffers over a long time for the club. But in terms of the actual meaningful difference that it makes, 25 million quid, it gets you half of a Van der Ven, and so I think that he's waiting for the right deal. I also think that he's happy to not take that because I think Daniel Levy sees the branding benefits of everyone around the world knowing it's the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium rather than the American Express Arena or whatever. That in and of itself helps indirectly bring revenues in other ways. So we're not necessarily just losing out on the money by not having it done. By maintaining us not having it, you are potentially making money elsewhere. How that is quantified though by the accountants at Tottenham, I don't know. But that's the kind of the long and the short of it, as far as I understand it. And I would imagine that he just has his valuation and doesn't want to sign up to a long-term deal that he doesn't think
it should have been. It should have been done, but it's something it should have
been done.
Yeah.
Big up, Blaine Dev. Appreciate that, mate. And Mick Dundee again coming in for another one. Thank you, Mick. Really appreciate it. Ange turns players' careers around wherever he goes. Don't be surprised to see Sanchez start. This is on you, Jacob. I thought Sanchez was brilliant against Barca. Do you think he is at the moment first in line? Assuming Mickey van der Ven is not fit, do you think the performances of Eric Dyer in that game, the performances of Ben Davies in the previous friendlies where he's made terrible positional decisions, and yet Sanchez's first real effort and he did it against the toughest opposition, has he elevated himself? Is Mick right that Ange is going to get a second wind out of Davo?
Well, that's kind of how I see it, Sean, is like I was saying earlier, whoever's the hungriest dog is going to get the meat at the end of the day. And he showed it. If you're putting it out, to me, that's what I really kind of saw the Barcelona game as, is Ainge saying, these are the players I'm going to all give you a chance to show me anything. Even Jed Spence, who's likely out the door. The only one who didn't get a go at it was Joe Rodon. Rip, he's on his way to Leeds. But when I looked at why certain players were playing there, Basuma, I question why was he there, based on my own theory. Why would Basuma be there then? But, like your Giovanni Lo Celso, your Solomon, all these players are players that I think he wanted to see something from. So for Sanchez and Dyer to go out there, and it was a stark difference in how they both played, right? You saw one not care, one pointing and shouting and not putting in that extra effort, and one putting in that extra effort, and he had a masterclass. You could hate Davinson Sanchez all you want, but he had a masterclass. So I think for sure, I'm not trying to overhype Davinson Sanchez, but I do want to again say there was a player in there somewhere that we saw at Ajax. In my opinion, he's physically, he has the attributes. In my opinion, he's got, as we saw, pace. He's had pace before, and that's kind of what you need from a high pressing line. And your left side center back along with Romero. Romero, is he fast enough? We'll see. I think he's all right, but obviously it's Mickey Van de Ven's job eventually. But I'm not saying that Davinson Sanchez should not get a chance to at least ride the bench, be security for that position either. I think he definitely grabbed the opportunity when it came at him, and more power to him, because the problem with Davinson Sanchez has always been his decision making, his positions, and his decision making is pretty much what I would say his head usually got him in a lot of trouble. And a lot of times when you're overthinking things, you could stumble over yourself, and that's just the nature of the beast. So definitely not trying to say he should be our starter for this season. I'm just saying I think while Mickey Van de Ven comes along, getting the Ainge system, getting fitness up, Davinson Sanchez is the only person that stood out in the preseason to me to grab the position while we wait for Van de Ven to come along.
Yeah. Love that, mate. Love that. Ben, I got one more quote. I'll let you run on Sanchez. Do you think he has in any way elevated himself in this preseason to being best of the rest?
It's one thing that Sanchez has that the other boys don't have. He is, if you look at all the defenders bar Romero and Van de Ven, he's the only one that you could say, you know what, he might actually work in an Ange Postecoglou team. High line, pace. There's one thing, Sanchez, there is a player there. When he plays, so like the end of Conte's first season, we were all up in arms. Oh, we're not gonna get top four. Played all those games. He was absolutely brilliant in all of them. It's when he starts getting loads of games, is when he starts getting comfortable and starts making mistakes. Maybe.
Yeah, you're right, actually. That's actually that's a good observation. Yeah. He was always okay in moments, wasn't he? When he stepped in. There was that, what was that? Didn't he have like the longest running period of without conceding a goal for a long time? That was like 3,000-4,000 minutes of football or something stupid where he hadn't conceded a goal for Tottenham.
Do I think he's good enough? No. I think it's when someone like Jose Mourinho targets you in a final because they know that you're like a deer in the headlights when you're pressed. That's a problem for me. That's why we've brought in someone like a Mickey Van de Ven, who is very good under pressure. Someone that's very good technically, quick, and good under pressure. Yeah. I think Sanchez is maybe for one or so games, but there is a reason we tried to sell him. But the only team that wanted to buy him was Spartak Moscow. And frankly, I don't blame him for not wanting to go to Spartak Moscow. But Sanchez, out of all of them, is the only one that makes sense as an Ange type player. Not that I know an Ange type player because I'm not what's it called, Tottenham Hotspur hippie who's watched him for years. I'm someone that's looked at them from afar. But yeah, Sanchez, out of all the defenders, is the only one that could sort of play a high line. But he's a deer in the headlights when he's under pressure, and that's what worries me. When Brentford are a very aggressive team, it's very worrying.
What I will say about Davinson Sanchez, lastly, Sean, sorry to cut you off, is that If anything, his performance, it was a win-win situation. Either we could have then now a team can look at that performance and say, hey, well, we might be able to get a tune out of this guy, and then we can get him moved faster, or he can then fill in for Mickey Van de Veen before, while we get him match fit and ready to go. So, I think it's win-win either way we look at it with the Davinson Sanchez thing.
Little bit of news dropping, guys. A lot of the Twitter ITKs. Gary Jacobs from Time Sport has said Tottenham's plan is to sign a young forward, which could be against 21-year-old Gift Orban, in addition to signing Alejo Veliz, the 19-year-old striker who arrived from Rosario Central. But apparently Postecoglou has confirmed today that Veliz won't see many minutes in the beginning as he adapts to life in England, but the club remain in the market for at least one more attacker. As it stands, Gift Orban tops the list. Listen, I know how I feel about this guy. I think he reminds me, when I see him run, I think it reminds me of Steven Bergwijn. I think when I see his powerful structure, it reminds me a little bit of dare I say it, I don't want to get Jacob too excited, but a bit like Adama Traore on Xanax, like not quite the same, but like that kind of power. And on top of that, though, I think this guy has got the finishing that those two don't. Bergwijn and obviously Traore didn't really have too much end product. This guy does. And the more I look at him, the more I look at his highlight reels, the more I look at his everything touches and go deep into his history in Y-Scout, the more I see an intelligence in him, his decision making, the way his first touch is very deliberate to put it into certain areas. He's almost thinking 2 steps ahead. And I think that, I'm kind of like set. I think this guy will be an absolute superstar in the future. It's just whether or not Tottenham want to pay up for the risk now, versus regretting it in 2 or 3 years' time. I would love the guy. I think he's a really, really exciting guy. Doesn't have to come in and play every minute. I think he's also good enough that he could play on the width as well as through the middle. So you're looking for players with options. Ange wants to have options. I think he presents one that, if the right price can be met, for me, it's absolute logic. Benny boy, I'll let you crack on first with this one, mate. Do you know? Have you made your mind up on Orban? Have you seen much about?
Very good player. I've been told by a lot of people that he's the next thing. But the only thing I can see, Shawnee, is we cannot defend. We've signed one defender. We cannot defend. So as much as I want us to sign a Gift Orban or another top quality forward, like an Eze, I love Eze. I would love to have Eze at Tottenham. Yeah. We cannot defend to save our lives. We are awful at defending. Before we think anything, we need to be signing a number 6 in someone like a Sangare. Sangare would be amazing for this team. He's an absolute beast. Yeah. We need to sign a proper leadership quality centre-back. I'm not saying Laporte, because Laporte will never come to us. He's too good to come to Tottenham, and he wants too high a wages to play for Tottenham. We need a solid leadership candidate centre-back that's going to sit with Van de Ven and sit with Romero and be the guy that's going to be the stalwart of our defence for the next 5 years. Because we've got goals in the team. Kulusevski scores goals. Solomon will score a couple of goals, 1 or 2. Sonny scores goals. Richarlison will get a couple of goals. Perisic will get a couple of goals and assists. We cannot defend.
No, I think that we're going to, obviously, I think that this isn't like, I'm just like, I think that this particular story, I would be surprised if we're not looking for another, some sort of defender. But I think this Gary Jacobs story is just on the back of the fact that, Beliz isn't ready. Kane is off. Brian Hill is injured.
Richarlison's offside.
So really, you've got for 3 positions for the entire season as it stands. You have Richarlison's son, Solomon, Decky. Is that it? Richarlison's son, Solomon, Decky. 4. It's not enough, is it? We need something else. We need someone else. So
we need someone else, definitely. But we've got to prioritise defence and midfield firstly. We've got to prioritise that, especially if Højbjerg's going.
Sorry. I forgot about the youngsters.
We've got Troy Parrott. What did he do? What did he do?
I agree with you. The priority has to be that. But I still think that if we go in, I do think we need at least another forward. I don't know how long Brian Hill's out for. But
after signing a centre back, a proper top
Brian Hill, what a great bit of business there.
That guy can't catch a break.
Oh,
Jacob,
poor
what's
guy.
what's your stance on our forward options? What about Dane Scarlett? You know, the absolute cracking finish from him off.
Yeah.
You know, back to goal, left foot, weak foot. Is he going to hang around, or do we put him out on loan one more time and spend some money on a forward?
I'm not really concerned. I do think we need at least someone else out there on the right, because if Solomon is now going to be filling in at the left, we have no one to back up Decky except maybe Pedro Porro. I don't know. I think our attacking options, I'm not too concerned about. Obviously, you know, Postecoglou's quotes regarding Alejo Veliz would lend you to believe we're not going to see him at all, maybe until like the middle of the season, potentially as a substitute. I've argued that his heat map, Alejo Veliz I'm speaking of, would lend me to believe that he could potentially also be someone to play on the right. Say we have a true number 9 playing in there, Sonny or Richarlison, whoever, that he could play on the right. Yeah,
he's a target man, mate. He's an out and out.
Based on how
adapt, but right now he's just for me. He's just
looking at his positions on the heat map. He was on the left, the right, and the middle. Obviously, primarily most of the heat map was in the box, centrally in the box. But it shows that he's not uncomfortable going out left or right. And I think something you saw from Julian Alvarez today, if anyone saw the Man City match, I think offers similar role, like a right forward-esque type of role. So I think he could offer us something that in the future. But obviously Postecoglou's quotes would put to bed any theories that he could potentially be seen this weekend or the next. So I'm not definitely throwing that out. I do think we need someone else, or we need to solidify, yes, Pedro Porro is our other right wing option, and here's a new right back that we got, you know. So man, I'm not too concerned. I think maybe one more player and we'll be all right. I'm definitely not gonna have a howler like I had yesterday and recommend who I recommended, but you know, we move anyway.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, I think that's about it, guys. I wanted to keep it short. I've got to finish before midnight. So I want to say a massive thank you to Benny Boy and to Jacob for coming on. We are going to be back tomorrow. I'll be doing my morning video with Bugsy. And then depending on, I'm going to try and get in a fan cam thing, guys. So everyone who wants to come on and the member show like we did last Saturday, I think it was really cool. I'm going to try and do that again tomorrow. And also maybe do a panel show during the day as well. We'll see what's going on. It's a Saturday. Obviously, we've got the start of the season to kick into. So I'm all excited. Guys, I want to say massive thank you to everyone in the comments. Jacob, what's happening on your channel, mate? And I think, Benny Boy's doing the Lord's work. Guys, make sure everyone get over to United Spurs of America and smash that subscribe button. Jacob, what's coming up on the show, mate?
Tomorrow, Saturday, will be Michael's return to the channel. So we're gonna do like a little Brentford season preview, and we're gonna say our piece about Harry Kane. And then I'm kind of debating, I may or may not, for those of you in the USA or who stay up in the crazy hours in the UK or early morning for Australia, I'm potentially going to do a call-in show tonight. Late for me, very early morning for anyone else, but mid-afternoon for Australia. So anyone out there in those time zones, tune on in. I do provide the link. Anyone can come on and have their say. I'm a little hesitant. I don't know if I want to do my Kane therapy session tonight with a bunch of people who can just call into the show, or if I want to reserve all that and just let loose on Saturday with Michael. I might do that, but I don't know yet. So yeah, either tonight or tomorrow there's going to be something going on. So I know everyone, wants to move past the Harry Kane thing, but you know what? I think it's okay if we take a couple of days and we say, you know what, this hurts now, but it hopefully only makes us feel that much better in the long run. That's what I'm hoping anyway.
Mate, appreciate you coming on, buddy. I love your calm sense and sensibility. Benny Boy, what is happening over on the coffee company, my man?
So at the moment, we're actually on hiatus because we're on a bit of a holiday. This is our day break. We just arrived back from the Isle of Wight. So I need to actually edit my vlog together because I've made a vlog that we're going to be releasing hopefully Sunday. I'll premiere it if I can bloody get to editing it. But there will be another vlog next week because I will be in Italy, and everyone knows how much I love Italy and eating pizza all the time. But you can also follow us on Tottenham on Tour, where we're doing a lot of work. Brian, we've got Johnny now. We've got a new member of Tottenham on Tour today. So Johnny has joined us full time. So it's really, really brilliant that Johnny's joined us. We're doing loads of shows on Tottenham on Tour. Danny is finally back. He's 10 months late, but it's better late than never, Danny. But we've got loads of shows out there. So I think we've got one tomorrow at 2 p.m. that I'm going to be hosting, a daily dose. But for most of me, follow us at the Coffee Company. We're 50 away from 500. So if you could help us get to 500, that would be absolutely lovely. But yeah, stay tuned for Vloggerinos. It's going to be great. They're not going to be Sean quality vlogs. Mine are going to be absolutely awful, but it's going to be fun.
I'm sure they'll be great, mate. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Guys, I want to wish you all a wonderful weekend. If I don't speak to you again, I'm sure we will. We're going to talk tomorrow. And, of course, then it's game day on Sunday. Guys, like I say, smash the likes on the way out. Smash the subscribes to this channel, to Jacob's, to Ben's, and also to @SeanButlerTV. Like I say, I think I'm going to go down a different path with it. It'd be nice to be able to talk about other things that are of interest to me. So maybe you might want to help me out with that one. And also, like I say, if something was to go wrong with the channel, then it's nice to be able to not lose contact with you all. I appreciate you all. Like, subscribe, and comment. Boys, guys.
Course.